my name's Shannay Holmes. I'm a Darug and Dharwal woman, so my mum comes from Laperoux and Hawkesbury River, but I was born and raised out on Darug country in Campbelltown, which is where I still live today. I have lived experience of suicide. I started self-harming. That was due to grief and loss. We lost my older brother when I was around 11. So then it was just me and mum. It was sort of a little bit of like prolonged grief, you know, as a child, when you do have such a massive impact like that happen to you, especially an emotional impact, you don't quite know how to deal with it. So for me, I didn't. It was one of those you sort of shove down, move on with your life and just do the everyday that you're used to. So then there were like little triggers for me, I guess, when I started high school, just a big change in life, big shift. You know, going from a small school to a big school where you don't know everyone, your support structure is very different. Felt like I was a little bit lost, so that's sort of where the self-harming started. Yeah, no, I think it's really important to ask someone if they are suicidal or wanting to end their life. I mean, you can never know unless you ask, and there's no harm in asking. You know, we talk about myths around suicide and the fact that, you know, people say that if you ask someone if they're suicidal, they're going to put the thought in their head, when it's really not the case. If you're worried about someone to the point where you're asking them if they're suicidal, the thought's already in their head, and by asking them, you know, if they're wanting to end their life, it might actually save a life because you're addressing it. But it's also really important, their response and what you do and say after their response. You don't need to know what to say, you don't need to know everything around how to help them. The most important thing you can do in the moment is just be there with them, listen, don't freak out. Just be there to support them, and even mention that to them, that you're there with them, that you're hearing them, and that you're there to support them. Not a lot of people asked me if I was suicidal. It was usually the health professional, the school counsellor, my mum, because this is an area that she works in. But none of my friends did, none of my peers did. And I think that's just purely because they didn't know what to say, they didn't have the education. So how could they ask? And I think it's really important for people who have, you know, suicidal experience and lived experience, that every experience is different for each person. And, you know, you may have similar situations of grief, trauma, family breakdown, but it's not the same for every person, even if you think it ticks each box. It's not. So don't ever say, I understand, but say, I'm here for you and I'm listening. So remember to connect, reach out, and heal our way.